Hi everyone, good morning, and how are you today? I hope you had a good night's rest. Today we'll be looking at another review on units 3 and 4 in maths. So get your student's book and your workbook. I know you've done them all, but then just review. Let's have a review on the things we did this week. We did two topics, Unit 3 and Unit 4. So we will have a revision on changing the scale on the vertical axis and describing the occurrence of familiar events. Two interesting topics. Well, our lesson objective is actually just to refresh our knowledge on how to change the scale on our vertical axis. That's so easy. And also, we want to refresh our knowledge on how to use the most appropriate word to describe the occurrence of familiar events. So first, let's see changing the vertical axis scale. We have two graphs here. For every graph, there is always a data that is going to be provided. This data we have here shows the days of the week and the customers that patronize them in Carrefour supermarkets or hypermarkets within 1 week. So the days of the week are 7 days, and we have the days and the number of customers here. Now, what we want to achieve here is we'll plot a bar graph, and after plotting the bar graph using a scale, the first scale on our vertical axis, then we will try to use another scale and see the difference on the two graphs. Of course, you can see the two graphs already. They have the same information showing the number of days that the customers visited Carrefour and also the number of customers who came in on each day. Now let's look at our first scale, the vertical axis of the first scale. Can you see that we have an interval of 200 between each number or between two numbers? Yeah, what we have between one number to another number is a difference of 200. That means to get the number, we're adding, to get the next number, we're adding 200 on the first scale. That's on the first graph. But look at the second one. We have an interval of 500. So the vertical scale here has an interval of 500. Okay, now look at the two graphs and look at the difference we have. You will notice that even though they seem similar, but then there's some form of difference in them. For some of the months, so for some of the days, the difference between 2 days, like day 1 and day 2, in graph 1, can you see that the difference is so much? Like the difference is so much. And then also on day 6 and day 7, can you see that difference? The difference is quite much. But when you look at the second graph, it doesn't really show like there's a big difference between day 1 and day 2. So basically, what's changing your the scale of your vertical axis does is maybe on the second one, on the second graph where your scale is changed, it doesn't depict too much of difference between the days. Okay, all right, let's see the one we also have in our student book. This is the example we have in our student book, page 217. To change the scale on our vertical axis, we have two graphs that are showing the tons of recycling in each month. The months are between January and April. Okay, now you can see it's the same graph, but the difference between February and March shows or seems like it's so much on graph 1, but on graph 2 it doesn't seem like it is so much. All right, so basically what this graph or changing the scale on our vertical axis does is it does not depict too much of difference when the scale is changed. All right, I said here that our vertical axis scale can be any numbers between 0 and the highest unit in our data. For the customers in Carrefour, the highest number of customers we have is 950. So when we are choosing our scale, we cannot use a scale that is less than 950. The highest number on our scale should be either 950 or more than 950, maybe 1000. We can't choose the lower one. If not, where would we put the 950 on the graph? Okay, so let's see. The next point I have here says the number we add up to the number we add up to the next number must be the same for all numbers on the scale. If we're adding up 100 to each number, let it be 100 all through. If we're adding up units of 500 to make the next number, then let it be 500 all through. It has to be consistent. And finally, when we change our scale, we only increase or reduce the number that we're adding. For example, on our first graph here, we're adding 100 units to make the next number. On the second graph, we're adding 500 units to make the next number. So what do we do? Or what have we simply done? We're changing or increasing the number of our scale if we want to change our axis or the scale of our axis. It's just about changing our numbers, either increasing it or decreasing it. Now let's see Unit 4. This is quite an interesting topic where we describe familiar events. We're going to try to see if such events are possible or likely to occur or not.
Hey students, lesson not over yet. Please click on part 2 link to continue. See you soon.